Dante, thank you so much for accepting this interview today and this meeting. I'm really curious to learn more about you and overall about experience, user experience, customer experience. How can we enhance experience? This is the E in the project framework.
Thank you so much, Raya, for inviting me. Hi, everyone from Istanbul.
Who are you? What do you do at the moment? What is your background? And what are you busy with at the moment?
Okay. Hi, my name is Dante. I am the digital architect and CEO of Octomax and Octopeople. Octopeople is a pure design product company. At the other hand, Octomax is a marketing automation tool for e-commerce to make personalized offers for end consumers. So if you have an e-shop, if you try to sell things, we can talk. This was a little commercial.
So when you talk about this customer experience in the e-commerce sphere, how is it different, user experience and customer experience?
Okay, this is a little bit tough questions that I found myself into. First of all, let me talk about what is user experience design. User experience design is a terminology about the overall feeling, how you feel about the brand when you interact with the brand. So it could be about the design, it could be about usability, it could be about software development. What kind of feeling you're getting when you interact with the brand or product. Let's say that you went to your favorite sushi restaurant. The way they present the sushi, the atmosphere, the plates, the service, the chopsticks that you're using, the color of the food itself, it's like really triggering you, right? Mm-hmm. The smell of the jasmine tea that they bring. So all of these good experiences, little stories add up to each other. And at the end, when you go there, first of all, you have a new experience. And then if everything goes well, hopefully, you have a wonderful experience about this brand. When you say customer experience, I believe you have to think more from omnichannel perspective. What is as a customer, like your customer, what is the experience that they get when they call to your customer support? What is the experience, for example, if they're dealing with bank, what is the experience when they go to ATM machine? And what is the experience when their card is just stuck in the machine? Like, what happens there? So with this, we have to imagine different touch points. So it's more a broad perspective than user experience.
When you said that with your company you're doing automation, isn't this a bit tricky when we talk about customer experience? Because all the previous examples that you gave, customers are very much anticipating a personal contact. They want somebody who is very empathetic and a real person to solve their issue.
The reason why e-commerce companies having such a low conversion rates is they don't have human touch. So when we go to the real store, we are dealing with a sales agent, a real person. So when we don't like them, we always have someone handy to help us. Even when we try a dress, we can ask someone to their opinion, because we want to make sure that other people are liking what we're selecting, right? So when we shop online, we don't have this connection, we don't get any help. Of course, like chatbots are quite annoying. First of all, I believe they take away the power from the customer. We want to give more flexibility to user. For example, let's say that they visit basket page 7 or 8 times. Obviously, they cannot decide whether to buy this product or not. Here, obviously, they might need some help. At this point, we can just show our face. It's like a sales agent. Sales agent watches your behavior and it comes near to you when this person senses that you are confused, you need help, you're looking around, hey, do we have another size of this shirt? We want to give full control to the customer, so when they want to interact with the widget, they can. Otherwise, we don't want to distract them from their shopping experience. Otherwise, it could be more harmful than being helpful. And most likely we will enable it with voice recognition technologies. So let's say that the mother is cooking dinner, but she at the same time she's gazing over the internet and she can only use one hand. And what's going to happen, like the shopping experience should be easy as this, so she can just use other senses like voiceover technologies to complete her order. So we're also thinking about these technologies that are not really surprising, to introduce more human senses to the widget. And you also ask, how can we enhance that? Why is that important, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe our audience who are listening us, ladies and gentlemen, they're all very advanced in what they're doing. And I am sure they have a global perspective from the day one. Whether they work on a product, service, it doesn't really matter. So if they have a global vision perspective, they really need to invest in product design and user experience. But what is the way for us that we can find solutions that millions of people are dying to use? Like, what is the secret recipe of that? Actually, there is no secret agenda. If we just follow step by step user experience design principles. So in design thinking process, if we think that if there is any problem, we need to emphasize with our user to define the problem. And after that, what are the solutions that we can generate to resolve this problem? There's ideation stage after that. And as we ideate this stage, we can do design sprint, design workshop together with our team, whether we have developers, designers, marketing person, stakeholders. I strongly suggest that they run a design studio together. They would come up with their team designs, and then we can just filter them down to 2 solutions and then choose one design.
How did you personally got involved in that topic? You seem so interested, so passionate when you talk about it.
Since in my youth, I was really creative child, and I knew that I was going to be occupied in visual arts. My job is communicating my ideas, my dream through design. So I studied graphic design in the United States on a full athletic scholarship. And then I got involved with art during the university. And then I simply became a graphic designer. But I realized graphic design is only a tiny space, a tiny bit to resolve customers' problems. We need to build a system. We need a design system and methodologies to build the blocks. So this is how I end up with user experience design. And I start training myself in this field because 5-10 years ago, we didn't have really schools to do that. So working in different technology companies and failing in some projects in terms of not following the UX principles, we had to fail and learn it in a hard way. And I got really discouraged, and I said one day, okay, this is not working. For me to follow my passion, I need to quit my corporate job and build my own company. This will give me liberty to do what I want to do, because I'm sort of perfectionist person. I need to do what I know the best. I need this space to do what I know the best. So this is how it started.
Now the people that will listen to us are future founders. These are people that are having some really nice ideas and are wondering how to start. So what is the typical process from idea to starting a business? How can they validate it, thinking about experience and the user experience in the first place?
Okay, great question. I love it. Basically, I would really suggest them to use design thinking methodologies to understand, emphasize with their customers, clearly define the problem, and start ideating, and then make it tangible with prototype, test it, and implement it. Don't work on the software development side unless you are sure about the product, the design prototype. The beauty about user experience design is it's not only a design system, but it's a software development tool as well. So before you invest your money on software development, you can just validate your idea on simply design prototypes. There are a lot of tools like Marvel, there's like Envision app, Framer, if I don't remember wrong. They can use those prototype tools to make qualitative user research to validate their ideas. How are the customers are interacting with the prototype? Is it corresponding their needs? So before they start, I strongly advise them to follow these steps. First of all, they need to create a documentation about their digital strategy, business logic design. What I mean by this? So they need to work on 5 N's, like what is the product, how it works, why now, like why the user should use it, and where should they use it, what would be the platforms, and when, like why this is a good time, and this solution is for who. So they need to clearly define their user personas. If you like, I can also share my screen to show it. Do you mind?
Of course, do so. It will be very useful, I'm sure.
Okay. For example, they can just run a design studio. If they have any co-founder or key employer, people to help them, they can team up together and start answering those questions. When customers onboard our landing page, we only have 5 seconds to let them know what is this product or service about. Otherwise, they will just bounce from the website. And then they would clearly define their one-liner. So if they would have less than 140 characters, like Twitter, old Twitter way, what would be the shortest way for them to define their business? I would also suggest them to do SWOT analysis so they can magnify those strengths on the design. And they would prepare a deck, and then they would imagine, okay, they have a different persona types, user types. For each user, I would draw a user journey map to clearly define how their customers will interact with the brand. So I would create the user journey map for each persona. Once we have the clear user journey map, then we would start documenting, okay, for customer to go from point A to B, we need these features. So I would just write down the features, like it would be big pile of the features like cards in cards, and then really choose what would be our MVP if we would like to launch this product in like next 1 month or 2 months. What would be the minimum viable product? There is minimum lovable product terminology right now. That means, are you sure? Okay, you choose those features as MVP, but are you sure that it will be accepted and loved from your end customers?
How can you be sure that it will be a loved feature?
We can get a help from a designer friend and ask her or him to visualize this design prototype. Once we have the design prototype, we can have usability test, one-to-one user interviews with real users. And I would suggest to start with 6 people in minimum. This is not only usability tests like design tests. They would get a lot of insights from customer about their pain point. So they would get a lot of useful insights how to develop the idea in further. So UX plus touching the customers and following along agile methodologies. But we need to make sure that the features are working and we have the demand on the market. And creating a technical documentation and starting with API first approach. And I have another suggestions for founders. When you start prototyping, start with mobile first, because millennials are most likely using their mobile phones right now.
You joined an accelerator program. How was this helpful to you? Would you advise future founders to search for such accelerators and options?
Yes, I would absolutely urge them to join, because I believe the most successful startups are rising from during the crisis, like Slack. Yeah, so we need to make ourselves a little bit uncomfortable and competitive. So the startup looks very shiny and you know, cool from the outside for outsiders, but once you get in, sometimes you have to work without a salary. You found yourself bankrupted. You have to deal with difficult people, and you have to be mentally very tough. You have to get prepared for this, and if you don't have enough life experience, it can really impact your health in a negative way. Because if you take a look at the founders, like, it's very lonely road. You're alone by yourself, and for that you need a lot of support.
Now you're also a mentor yourself in the accelerator program. What are the typical flaws or the typical challenges that founders are experiencing?
I see a lot of similar patterns. For example, I'm mentoring to learn from them as well, because I believe it goes both ways. I believe that especially early stage founders like me, they weren't really sure about which markets they're going, what are the numbers there, what is their addressable market. And unfortunately, those are the questions that we've been asked from the investors. Yeah, we have to be more we have to be crisp clear about these questions. Sometimes as we founders, we have focus problems. We have a lot of great ideas. We think that all of them are brilliant, but we have very limited resource to do that. But CEOs have the most mental loads. For us, we need to see the holistic perspective. We need to see the big picture, and we need to divide them in small chunks and then take it step by step. Most of the times, since I'm a designer, I believe that I have this vision. I can see everything visually. I have the holistic perspective. But sometimes when I speak with different founders, I don't see this vision. But a lot of companies have a great execution. They are very practical. They can find fast solutions, and they just execute it, which is great. So they are very agile, and they are very fast. This is what I'm observing.
So I'm genuinely curious. What is the startup scene in Istanbul? What is your perception about it? Is it thriving scene? What should we learn about it?
I believe that we have a young population and very bright millennials. They are educated. They have a global perspective. They grow up with Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, Netflix, and they are very advanced in technology, and they understand the new world. And as we Turkish people, we are very close to Europe, and at the same time, we are very close to Asia and Middle East. We're in the center of the world. This is my belief. Some people might think differently. So we have no cultural issues, problem with anyone in the world. So we're accepting everyone. Because of that, with this vision, we can work with anyone in the world. This is a great advantage. So we have no issue, and I really trust the young people, young generation of new wave millennials of Turkey. For example, in 2019, government of Estonia, IRA's Enterprise Estonia has supported us. I organized coffee talks events, and I announced all of the Turkish entrepreneurs to come join Istanbul, and we would just give each other inspirations, talk about our startups, talk about our problems, and it was great. Around 80 people joined, and I'm just giving you example from my own experience. It was absolutely amazing, because I try to found founders that they're not very popular. I mean, they're emerging founders, but they have a great storyline. One of them was traveling to Nepal, and she learned healing, and now she's back and she's trying to open this online academy. You know, she's turning her program into SaaS business model. Couple of them were already very, very successful and got their investment open up to the global markets. Pricing is one of them. And there is Remotely was another great startup. They offer this invoicing automation tool for freelancers. So I can say that there are a lot of great talents in Turkey, and they are just, but we don't have access to capital. So if you think in terms of Silicon Valley, it's totally the opposite. However, I see negative sides, the things that we need to improve as Turkish entrepreneurs. One of them is communicating our ideas. We are not really good at presenting our ideas, so we need to get better in terms of marketing. And the other thing is we really need to reflect this global mindset on our business. So I know that young entrepreneurs can do it, but they already are ready for growing in global arena. But I don't always see that in their presentations, in their they don't always reflect that. So if they can successfully reflect this, if they can set up their presentations, they can start with the English language, it could really help them, I believe. And one thing that they need also, if I were them, I would establish my team. I would diversify my team. I would at least have 1 or 2 foreign people in my team. So we are diversified. We are the internationalized team.
Mm-hmm.